is it true what your brother told me? And I said, that I'm getting divorced? Yes. And he goes, no, the reason why. And I said, because I'm gay? Yes. And he goes, it'd be better for you to die than to kind of bring this kind of shame on our family.
Hello, thank you so much. Welcome back to The Global Show, the #1 independent talk show on the planet. And it's Monday, which can mean only one thing. A brand new episode, a brilliant guest, and influencers behaving like the algorithm is their manager, therapist, and financial advisor, all rolled into one. It's been a hell of a week, but before we cut into that haystack of chaos, there is one important question, one thing we need to answer. Now, this question has haunted philosophers. It's confused scientists. It's silenced world leaders. It's a question that echoes through the corridors of time. Was Toto actually able to make it rain down in Africa? Now, they wrote an entire song about it. They blessed the rains. They waited for them. But I went back. I watched the video. There was no science, no meteorologist. They didn't even have a light drizzle, just some dramatic lighting and emotional commitment. What was the plan, Toto? Was there a cloud seeding, atmospheric manipulation, or was it just 4 men passionately manifesting precipitation? Because if we're going to be honest, I bless the rain sounds less like climate intervention and more like a confident weather prediction. And yet, we all sang along to it, just like we'd peer-reviewed it. So, if Toto couldn't control the weather, what makes us think the influencers can? And that is where we're going to begin. Let's kick into the monologue. So this week at the Grammys, during a politically charged acceptance speech by Billie Eilish, influencer Emily Austin filmed herself reacting from the audience. The clip was expressive, sarcastic, and dismissive. Of course, it exploded online, millions of views almost instantly. But the question is, when did the award shows suddenly become a live reaction content farm? We used to watch the moment, the joy, the speech, the actual award. Now we go to watch someone watching the moment. There's something fascinating about sitting inside a cultural event and thinking, oh, this is good. But what if I'm also the event? If the most viral part of Billie Eilish's speech is Emily Austin's reaction shot, who actually then owns the moment? Because attention doesn't wait for reflection, it kind of interrupts it. And that wasn't the only example we saw. We've also seen influencer Jess Val-Ortiz post a carefully produced breakup announcement about her split from Alexi Mitchell. Cue the lighting. Oh my, cinematic, soft music, carefully framed vulnerability. Is heartbreak now episodic content? We used to journal privately. Now we storyboard separation. Look at that picture. So sad. And in keeping in line with this chaos, beauty influencer Michaela Noguera posted the emotional video saying she feels lost. It's my sad face, Tom. How sad is that? It's as sad as I go. All right. What the heck is happening, everyone? Do people now feel the need to cry on screen to stabilize their engagement rate? Are breakdowns now part of the content calendar? Michaela said content creation has taken a toll on her relationships and her identity. Content creations took a toll. The same content creation that funded the house, the brand deals, the global audience. Now, before we all sharpen the pitchforks, burnout is real. Pressure is real. Being on every day is exhausting. But here's the uncomfortable question. When your job is to monetize your personality, what happens when your personality runs out of fuel? Do you log off? Or do you film the crash? The algorithm rewards vulnerability, but only if it performs. So, is it a breakdown or a strategy wrapped in sincerity? Maybe the healthiest move is what she hinted at. Step away, regroup, disappear. But disappearing's not going to trend, and that's the trap, because silence costs reach, and reach, my friend, is revenue. Next up is the athleisure brand Keep the Pump. They decided resistance bands weren't dramatic enough and posted footage of a reckless car stunt near Brisbane's Story Bridge, because nothing says core strength like questionable traffic decisions. The clip goes up, police reportedly reviewed it, and then poof, like Houdini disappearing mid-act whilst riding 6 elephants, The clip vanishes. Ladies and gentlemen, we've officially entered the era of high-speed marketing. Active lifestyle has become the Fast and Furious gym edition. We're not building glutes, you're building plausible deniability. And here's the uncomfortable part. The algorithm doesn't ask, was this responsible? It asks, did people watch it? Twice. If they did, mission accomplished. Deletion isn't damage control anymore, it's the encore. Oh man, I love this one. In Kolkata, YouTuber Sayak Chakraborty posted a viral video claiming he was deliberately served beef instead of mutton at the restaurant Olipop. Of course, this video spread rapidly. Apparently there's millions of people out there waiting by their phones for incorrect protein content to come through. The restaurant, well, they issued an apology, as you'd expect. But the waiter was reportedly, wait for it Tom, fired? Oh no, that would be too easy. The waiter was arrested for a menu dispute. When did "you brought me the wrong thing" become a matter for law enforcement? This is a restaurant, not a parliamentary hearing. You ordered one animal, you got another. That's a refund conversation, not a courtroom drama. But in 2026, a plate isn't just a plate. This is a headline, a thumbnail, a comment section civil war. And once the phone comes out, we're not solving the problem, we're producing it. Now let's cut over. Let's talk about YouTube. So CEO Neil Mohan rolled out the 2026 roadmap. As you can expect, more AI tools, mandatory labels for synthetic content, expanded shorts, and over 1 million channels using AI tools daily. 1 million. At this point, YouTube isn't a platform anymore. It's a robot farm with Wi-Fi. We've gone from, hey guys, welcome back to my channel, to, hey guys, welcome back to whatever machine generated this at 3:42 in the morning. YouTube says it wants guardrails. Of course it does. It also wants more uploads. This is like opening up an all-you-can-eat buffet to a starving horde of buffaloes and saying, please pace yourselves, guys. Good luck. And just when you thought that was enough, YouTube would also like to be your local shopping centre. Integrated checkout, create a storefront, buy buttons under videos. We used to go to YouTube to learn how to fix the sink. Now the sink is monetized. I watched a productivity video and somehow ended up buying a hoodie, a desk lamp, and something called Mindset Fuel. I don't know what it is, Tom. At what point did YouTube quietly turn into a mall with commentary? You're not watching a creator anymore, you're browsing a person. Honestly, I miss cat videos. Tom, put up a cat video. Aww. Look at that. No affiliate link, no discount code, no AI enhancement, just the cat. Possibly the finest use of global technology we've achieved. Let's have a look and see if the podcasting's any better. This week, Will Arnett revealed that a well-known comedian was removed from a Smartless recording after about 10 minutes. 10 minutes! Apparently the guest didn't fit the tone, too disruptive, which is fascinating because podcasting was sold to us as raw, unfiltered, just friends talking. It turns out, Just Friends Talking has a producer and possibly a panic button. Long-form conversation now has a brand manual. You can be authentic, just not that authentic, because nothing kills a sponsorship deal faster than a guest who won't read the room. Then, another Smartless clip goes viral. Side note, I love Smartless. Those guys are hilarious. Go back. But Jason Bateman kept pushing Charlie XCX about having children after she clearly said she wasn't interested. Let's have a listen.
Does that mean that you would love to have more than one kid, or would you like to have a kid that has the same sort of experience as you, where it's the only child and then you get to just kind of nurture and protect and?
I actually don't really want to have kids.
No, none.
You don't? Wait, why?
Yeah.
My wife did not want to have kids, so the story goes. So she tells me,
and she didn't, and you adopted yours.
And she said once we started going out, and she was like, "Okay, I think I can have a kid with this guy." So you might find somebody.
Well, I'm married, so
There you go.
Now, curiosity is fine, but there's a thin line between Interesting question, and why are we still here? At some point, curiosity becomes pressure, and you can feel it. Podcasting should feel like eavesdropping on friends, not gentle interrogation over brunch. Meanwhile, listeners decided that Hannah Berner from Giggly Squad might be pregnant because of one passing comment. One. Suddenly we got spreadsheets, pink and blue balloons like it's a gender reveal crime scene. Threads have exploded, TikTok detectives have activated. Zoom in, enhance, rewind, reanalyze. We've moved from listener to part-time investigator. You can't clear your throat without someone building a theory board, and none of these people are in the room, but they're absolutely certain they've solved the case. Podcasting used to be background noise. Now it's forensic evidence. Then a controversial clip featuring Candace Owens and Bassem Youssef sparks backlash. And who steps in? Piers Morgan. Now, let's be clear. When Piers Morgan is the sensible one in the room, well, you want to check the rotation of the Earth. As expected, outrage flies, clips get chopped, and then headlines multiply. Outrage is now a business model. Someone says something sharp, somewhere someone reacts louder. Metrics are going to spike. Sponsors, well, they lean forward. Somewhere in a boardroom, someone says engagement is up. We've essentially turned conflict into a growth strategy. 30-second clips circulate without context. Screenshots from 2016 resurface. The internet, well, that's a filing cabinet. It's petty. You don't have a past anymore. You've got an archive. And guess what? The archive, that waits. So here's where we are. Influencers bared their souls for clicks. Gym brands audition for the Fast and the Furious. Waiters become national news. YouTube building robot creators. Podcast editing authenticity. Listeners tuning in as detectives. And we're pretending this is normal. This is not normal. It's performance art with Wi-Fi. Brunch without surveillance. Retail therapy with a ring light. Everyone's reacting. No one's relaxing. And if a cat falls off a table, well, we all breathe again. That's where we are. And tonight's guest, he understands it better than anyone else. This is going to be a great interview. Tom, can we get these titles rolling? Today's guest is what happens when you mix a newsroom with a NASA photographer, a non-profit superhero, and a cowboy with a camera. He's a 3-time Telly Award winner, multi-Emmy nominee, and spent 24 years crafting top-tier chaos at Houston's ABC 13. Then at 50, he moved across the country, knowing no one, landed a gig producing videos for NASA, and somehow made it look easy. Now he runs marketing at a Colorado horse sanctuary. He's helped raise over $600,000 for non-profit. He works with Disney, Fox, and DHS, and he still finds time to run his own creative agency. He's bold, brilliant, reinvents himself like it's a sport, and he's probably edited this intro in his head. So please welcome David Mackey.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming. It's an absolute pleasure for you to be here. Now, where do I find you at the minute, David? Are you in Houston right now?
I am in the basement of the office that I work in Colorado. I always joke and say I'm the flower in the basement instead of the flower in the attic. Me and my dog over there. He's asleep on the bed. But when I got here, the house, there was other people with the ranch that lived here, and they put me in a room, and I was like, I'd rather be away from everyone, farther away. And I searched out the house, and I ended up in the basement, and it's very quiet and very dark. Now the only bad thing is I go to bed at 4:00 in the afternoon because I think it's 10:00.
Oh man! And it's Thursday night for you, or Thursday afternoon? Sorry.
It is. It's Thursday at 1:30 in the afternoon, actually.
Wow. And what does David do on Thursday at 1:30 in the afternoon?
What did I do? My life is kind of wacky. It's all over the place. So like literally I spent the morning at Home Depot fixing a pair of glasses on the aisle, trying to avoid having to buy the tool and just doing it in the so I did that. But too many people walked by, so then I just ended up buying the tool just so it looked like I wasn't.
Oh,
But I have so many hats at this organization. It's crazy. Not only do I do all the video production and the marketing for the ranch itself, but I also handle all of the IT stuff, which was not part of the job description, but they were not very up to date. So when I got here, I revamped their website, revamped all of their email accounts and passwords and all sorts of stuff. So I just basically brought them into modern times. And now they threaten me that I can't leave because they won't know how to operate anything if I do.
That's quite the position to be in. I like it.
Right.
Single point of
Job
failure.
security.
Yeah. So you were at ABC 13 for 24 years.
Yes.
That's a long time. Now, when you started, it was in the 90s, right?
1998, October 12th. It's funny.
Wow.
I started at ABC Television. Wendy Granado was she's actually now the general manager at ABC in LA, which is the number 2 station. And she and I started on the same day at the same station. And obviously her career grew, and somewhere she made a left and I made a right, and I ended up in a basement and she ended up in LA. So it all worked.
Who's happier? Who's happier, David? That's what we're looking at here.
Well, she's on Rodeo Drive. I'm quite sure she's happier than me. I'm at a rodeo and she's at Rodeo Drive.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that just means she's happy.
I would assume she's quite happy. She's
So,
actually a really great person. We stayed close for a long time. I haven't talked to her in a while, but we remained friends for many years.
and what did you do when you started with ABC? Were you an editor, video talk? What were you like? What was your main function?
I was an editor when I started in television. Well, I started at Fox, so I was at Fox for. I'll very summarize the story so it's fast. But when
Yeah.
I was very young, I was 21. I got married, and then after a couple of years, 23, I had my first child, and then after that, I started harassing. I wanted to work in television. My goal in life was like I was going to do 10 years in radio, 10 years in television, finish out in film. I did 5 years in radio, and then I harassed the HR director at Fox. Her name was Charmaine, and I harassed her nonstop for the longest time, all the time, like every week, calling, seeing what jobs were open. And she finally called me one day and said, "We don't have any openings, but we have a position that is a temporary role as the receptionist at the station because our receptionist is getting a surgery. And would you step in and do it?" And I was like, absolutely yes. And I drove a beat up car that I don't know how it made it, but I drove every day into that office and was the receptionist. And 3 months later, I was hired as an editor in the news department. And then I was there for about 3 or 4 years. And then my position was dissolving out of the budget. They were going to create an engineer position. And the guy that was in charge of marketing at that station called his wife, who was the program director at ABC across the street, and said, "Hey, we're losing this guy, and he's very talented, and I think you guys should bring him over there." And his wife, Kim Jackson, who I always say I owe my career to, she brought me in over there, and I was there October 12th, 1998, and I stayed there for 24 years until I turned 50. Yeah.
Wow.
A wacky story of persistence and not giving up and annoying people to death and all that kind of fun stuff. And then, of course,
So
I
you
could see my career progressed into different levels. So
you must have been pushing yourself as the receptionist as to what else you wanted to do to anyone who was walking in that door for them to give you an opportunity.
well, the HR lady, Charmaine, she knew that I had an editing background, but I think one of the things that impressed them is that within that 3-month window, I had memorized every person's phone number in the entire building. So, but I was young. My memory is not that good anymore. I was much younger, but somebody could come in and I could know their number right off the top of my head of what department, what number they had. And so I think that kind of impressed them in that sense. And then I had already had the skills of an editor from when I did stuff like weddings and things like that. And I was that kid that hooked two VCRs together and was trying to edit videos that way as a little kid. So editing was always in my blood. It was just something I did.
So 1998 video editing. Talk to me about this, because obviously I know how to I kind of know how to video edit now, self-taught, which we can talk about as well. But when you started, was it reels or was it digital?
So when I started in television, it was called, oh gosh. So we had reels. There was a 1 inch, there was a half inch, which is VHS. So we had 1 inch, then half inch, then beta SX. Then it went into digital, 3/4 inch tape. So these tapes, the 3/4, and I don't have any since a lot of my stuff is in storage from when I moved from DC to Colorado. But 3/4 inch tapes were like these giant, they looked like books. They were so that thick and about that big, and they would go in. Beta was much thinner and wider, but they were I've been down every format. From when I was in radio, I was slicing audio and film, like with a razor blade you cut it at an angle and you slice it back together. So I've done like every format all the way up. And then when it became nonlinear, when it became digital editing, I taught myself how to they would bring in the equipment and I would sit down and teach myself how to use it. And that way, when it actually became implemented within the company, I already knew how to use it. And I was good, I kind of would teach other people how to do things. So I always tried to stay ahead of the curve when it came to that. And that's probably what saved me all these years is that I've stayed ahead of the curve. And I edit now with Final Cut. I'm about to start, actually, this is, maybe a secret moment, but I'm about to start with CBS, and I will be doing with Premiere with them. So that's coming up. Maybe. We'll see. Yeah.
So how do I'm quite naive in this sense. So I use DaVinci Resolve. I know how to edit with that, and I know how to edit digitally. But then I'm looking at how they did it with Reels, and I don't know how it worked. Like you said there, you cut it on an angle. So if you're cutting a piece of tape on an angle, are you cutting another piece of tape as to where you see that would fit, and then just trying to match them? How does it work?
Right. So if you were so back in the old days, when we would have, they would put on a movie, say like the Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, which was actually that movie. Are you familiar with that movie?
I'm not familiar with that movie, no.
So that was a Dolly Parton, Burt Reynolds movie. It was about a whorehouse in Texas. It was based on a true story, and a reporter shut down that whorehouse, and it was a big scandal, huge deal, back in the 70s. It was all based on a true story. And they made a movie about it, and Dolly was in it with Burt Reynolds and Don DeLuise. But the comical part is I actually that was the station I worked at. So I knew all the players that were in that movie. I knew them as real people. So that movie aired on our channel, but in order for it to air, they had to cut out the nudity. So how that would work is you would take, so like say this is the video here. And there is the nudity is in the middle. You would cut it at an angle here, cut it at an angle here. And the way the angles worked is they would like layer like this across each other. So you cut one this way, one that way, or, opposite, one that way, and then the other one in the same direction, in the opposite direction. And they came together, and then you pieced the tape over it so that basically it was two triangles pointed at each other. And so when it ran across, it looked like it was seamless. It didn't have like a weird jump in it. And it was just a matter of skill. And that was something that we had. There were actually people that worked at the station that's all they did was sit and film. We called it splicing films together. And they had to take out nothing or, nudity or whatever.
That must have taken forever.
It took a long time for them to do it. I mean, some of us, that I did not do that part. That was not something I did because I was in news by then, so I didn't do any of those things. But I knew the guys that did, and by then they were so used to it. It was just like slice. For radio, that's the way it was for me in radio. It was just, you would sit down and just, you had a little block and it had actual slices in it that the razor went into to cut at the correct angle, and then you scotch tape it together, and you know, life goes on. So it was interesting. It was interesting. It's when I look back now, I commented on somebody's LinkedIn that they were talking about the changes that have been made, and I said, think about those of us that are older that have been through from film all the way now to where everything is digital to AI. Like now we've got AI stuff that's coming out. It's just, it blows your mind and makes you feel very old.
But that's the thing. So cutting them together, that's an amazing art, whoever did that. And also working out where to, so when I do various recordings, like there's a number of things which end up on the floor, as I'm sure you're aware of, but being able to look at 6 variations of something and then work out where to cut it would have been a nightmare. It's easy enough to do digitally, but
well, that's what you're referring to, is actually editing a story in itself, not so much slicing down a movie, because slicing down a movie, you're just removing content. But when you're building a story, so like the stories that I do for Happy Dog Ranch, the organization that I work for, when I go out and I do a story and I interview people, I will interview all the people that need to be involved. Then I will come back and I'll shoot the B-roll of all of the stuff that goes on. And that's the puzzle pieces that you're referring to, where I will lay out all of the people talking, and then I will listen to them and I'll chop it up to where they're all saying certain things, whatever their statements are. And then I basically make it as a puzzle where I slide things backwards and forwards until I have what I call a stream of consciousness of dialogue, where somebody is just, one person picks up the next person's comment and it just keeps flowing along. And then you then take your video, your B-roll, and then you start puzzle piecing that and putting it over. So if they're talking about a dog, you find a shot of a dog that you did and you put that over there. So you kind of go with what you're working with. And then the creative aspect comes into it, where you have to build animations or graphics and things like that to make that work. So it's very, in the grand scheme of things, like I do it every single day. So I think there's nothing to it. It's like, okay, it's Monday. Who cares? But when I stop and think about it or explain it like I'm doing now, then you think about the complexity of it all and how much thought goes into it. And it's fascinating to think that, especially with Happy Dog, whenever I get done with the stuff that I do with the ranches and I build a piece out and they do a lot of incredible work there in the sanctuary. When I'm able to take those stories and make something out of it, I sit back and go, and I inevitably always go, that turned out better than I thought it was going to.
I do that every week. I'm well aware of that thinking. Yeah.
I'm impressed you're using DaVinci. DaVinci's not, I would not consider DaVinci an easy system to learn, but if you don't know anything, it's one of those kind of things that if you don't know, then you don't know. So if you're building something on DaVinci because it was free and that was the first thing you got, you don't know any better. So you're teaching yourself how to use it, which is very impressive because it's all nodes and things like that I look at it and just go.
How do you feel? I mean, you must watch. So your career within video editing, and I know it's changed within the marketing, but within video editing, you must have looked at that and now looked at it over the years and seen so many amateurs coming in and being able to have these tools and be able to do the job that you trained for. I mean, you were 508 compliant. I don't even know what that means, but it sounds fantastic.
So people with visual or audio or visual disabilities, 508 compliance means that you set it up so that if somebody cannot hear, they can read the text on. It's closed captioning, but it also is like birds chirping, sound of car. That's 508. That's 508ing is not something complex. It's just that it's something that's skillful that all government agencies should have 508 on their videos, so that people that have a audible disability or whatever, hearing, visual, whatever it is, that they can then enjoy the same content. That's all that means. I know,
right?
But it sounds really good on a resume.
Sounds really good. I didn't know what it meant. I was like, wow. I could have researched, but I was like, I'll just ask the question. But you must have seen this like evolving to where it is now. And you trained for it. You've learned this. You actually specialized in it. And now 15-year-old Bobby does it on a Wednesday because it's out there and it's a different world.
Yes. And sometimes when dealing with that, sometimes it can be extremely frustrating because, like, again, I see it on LinkedIn sometimes. Somebody posted a professional, somebody that worked at a television station was doing what was called YouTube style video editing. And I commented on it because what he was doing was what's called jump cuts, where as an editor, do you know what a jump cut is? Okay.
I do know what a jump cut is,
I'll
yeah.
explain it to the audience because
Yes, please, yeah.
So jump cut is, and they've all seen it. They just don't recognize it as being necessarily a mistake. But it's when somebody is sitting on screen and they're talking like this and they're saying something, but I've messed up in the middle of it. So instead of covering it with B-roll, I'm going to be sitting here and then all of a sudden I'm going to jerk like this and I'm going to have another shot of me finishing my thought. So it's like I just walked down the street and it's like, and so those where I come from, that's a mistake. That's not something you embrace. And this gentleman that worked at a TV station said he was doing YouTube style. That was his style, was fast cuts and basically chopping up a talking head. This would be a talking head and chopping it up. And it was like nails on a chalkboard. I commented underneath it and I said, I'll never get on board with YouTube style editing because it is just fundamentally wrong. You don't chop it up and make yourself jump all over the screen like you've got some type of illness. Just B-roll over it and be done with it. So nowadays when I see kids like what you're referring to, seeing today's kids do stuff on YouTube and things like that, I watch a lot of YouTube and I throw a lot of shoes at TVs because it just drives me insane.
I went to a show. It was over Christmas. It was one of these Christmas shows with my kids, and there was someone who was doing a big speech on the video, big screen, and I can't remember what he was saying, but he was talking about the city and various other things. And I was watching with my daughter, who's 10 years old, and it was exactly that. No one else saw it, but he would be talking, and then he suddenly jumped to a new word, and then suddenly jumped to a new word. And I said to her, I was like, man, he's recorded this like 50 times. I can tell. And it's just, they've just cut the best bits. And now, bless her, she can tell every time that happens. But before, she never noticed it because that was just the norm because of what she'd seen on YouTube.
Right. And the more you do it, the more like within your own show, like with the editing that you're doing with your show, the more you do it, the more you'll start seeing other things happen where you'll see the morphine that you're referring to with the match frame edits, where you'll be watching all of a sudden you'll see this slight, like a little blurry kind of like shift.
Yep.
And you'll start seeing those kind of things. There's nothing worse on the planet than watching a movie or a TV show with a videographer, an editor, a camera operator. We are the most annoying people on the planet. We watch them and constantly critique everything, and people hate sitting with you because you're like, did you see how that cigarette was long in one shot, then it was short, but then it was long again?
Yes.
Where's the continuity? Where's the continuity?
Yeah. So, reinventing your life at the age of 50 by moving to a city where you knew no one, that must have been insane for you. What was that like?
Insane. What happened is I worked for ABC. There was a change in management. And I was turning 50. Like I said, I have two daughters that are they're 30 and 31. And so what happened is I had always encouraged them, go out, venture out, travel, live in different spots. Don't do like I did, because I always stayed in my hometown and never did anything because I was just there. And so my kids were they said one time, why didn't you go out and do things? And I said, I had two kids, I was divorced by this point. I divorced when they were 4 and 5 and then came out as gay. And so I was in a relationship, but I never left because I had children. I couldn't, even though I was not always in a relationship, I was not capable. I did not abandon my kids. So I was always at every letter opening, making band videos and whatnot. So they said, why didn't you ever go out and do something else? And I said, because I had you two. And so as they got older and they moved and they did their thing, they said, okay, they've settled now in Washington State, and they said now it's your turn. And the joke is always that, and I went to DC, so the joke is always, when I said I was moving to Washington, they got confused and went to the wrong one because they're on the other side of the country. You can't get farther apart in America from Washington D.C. to Washington State. But there was changes in management. I wasn't really happy with the direction my career was going there, and I'd been there 24 years. The person, like I was speaking of, Wendy Granado, she was not going to be there much longer. I just felt like, okay, I'm 50. I don't want to say that I spent my whole life in my hometown. So it was time for me to make a change. And it was extremely scary because I'm a stability freak. I need stability. And so in my resignation letter to Disney Corp, to the Disney Corporation and to ABC folks, it said, how do I word that? Said, as I turned 50 years old, after 24 years with the Walt, now I don't remember what it was. It's like, after 24 years within the Walt Disney Company, and as I turn 50 years old, I am tendering my resignation while I'm still young enough to have a life, fit enough to enjoy the life, and attractive enough to destroy the life. I came to be married to a woman. I leave divorced from a man. I've accomplished everything I needed to accomplish. And I up and moved to Washington, no job, nothing, and just went. And it's weird. I spent my whole life in Houston and just a few years in DC, and consider DC home to me. I'm not a big Texas person. I prefer concrete over dirt. So DC is home. And so that's why, like, even with the current situation that I'm in right now here in Colorado, I still say I miss my home. And people will ask me, "Oh, you miss Texas?" No. I miss living in the city. I miss being able to walk down the street and get something to eat. I miss those kind of things. So I'll eventually make my way back there. But I'll continue with the Happy Dog Ranch organization. I will continue working with them because they're a great organization, and I like doing the projects for them. So,
but what attracted you to move there? Like, so at 50, a big change, I get that, but there must have been something that said to you, "Oh, hang on, was it just a pin on the map and say, well, let's go here? Like, I've got to go somewhere." Or
about DC? Yes. I was confused because that's where Wonder Woman's TV show was always based. So I assumed she was there, and she wasn't. I was looking at the IADC, and it didn't exist. So, no, what happened was that I went there to see if I liked it, and I did. And I looked at it. I'll go Star Trek-y here. I looked at it as like this transwarp hub, like the metro system was there, the trains were there. I could be on a train in DC and be in New York in a couple of hours. I could be in Boston in a couple of hours. I could be in Philadelphia. I could do all these things. And in Texas, first off, they don't have trains, but you can get in a car, and about 3 days later, you might get to the border. It's, so I looked at DC as like this transwarp hub. Like I could just go to so many different, and the museums were free, and there were things. I'm a big TV fan, so the Museum of American History had the I Dream of Jeannie bottle that was there. So there was like all these little weird things that just made me feel very nostalgic and wanted to be a part of, and it was free too. That's another crazy thing. DC, all of the museums are free. In Texas, you have to sell one of your kids or put them on eBay in order to go to a museum for a family of 4. It was really a night and day difference, and I just fell in love with the city. But that's what took me there, was the ability to go wherever I wanted to go on the East Coast. And I just never had that. And then again, people tried to get me to go to California, and I felt like DC, there was a bureau for every TV station. There was there was all sorts of nonprofits that were going to be there. So I felt like there was a lot of job opportunity on top of the fact that I could get anywhere I wanted to go as well. So it was a multiple layer kind of thing, but I didn't know anyone there and just showed up one day. And then I met one of my probably the closest friend I've ever had is there, and he and I are still very extremely close. He's annoying as hell, but we're extremely close.
Oh, I bet he says the same thing about you.
He better not. No, I know he does.
Yeah. And so you touched on it before. You're a twin.
Yeah.
Identical?
Was.
Well, yeah. You said before we came on, you said he lost his hair.
So I am an identical twin. We do not look alike anymore. My joke has always been that what he spends growing up, he used to smoke. So my joke has always been what he spent on beer and cigarettes, I was spending on moisturizer and Propecia. So I have always maintained a full, all of my hair is still here. Now I have had it rearranged once, where they moved. They had to bring some up, but it wasn't that much. But I had it rearranged once, and then he's very country. My twin brother, we're polar opposites and just alike at the same time. It's so strange in the sense that our demeanor, our way of work life, our work ethic is very similar. Like, get the job done. Don't, just get it done. Get it done. There's no reason to be wasteful of time. And we're both smart, for the lack of a better way to put it. And I'm more creative. He's a mechanic. So he works on cars. And I always say the only way I'm going to be under a car is if it's run over me. So he's very skilled at what he does. And then I'm on the video side of life, and I'm very skilled in my area. So we're both highly skilled in what we do. In that sense, we're very much alike. He's extremely country. Like where I'm at now with the ranch and the cows and all of these farm animals and stuff like that. This is not my forte. But for him, he is so jealous. Like, I'll take a picture of the mountains outside and I hate you, or deer. Deer. It drives him insane that I'm living in this very country style of living, and he's living back in Texas, and he's very jealous of that. But he's, I have Botox on my forehead because I walk around with a constant look of surprise, and so I keep that relatively smooth. He's not done anything like that, so he's got less hair or none, and he's much more aged in the face, and so it's I always just say it's the before and after of a really bad weekend.
Man, you should do that one time. You should make a video of that. You should walk in the door to a bar and then walk out. Get him to walk out after a long weekend. So
the biggest trouble I ever got into, his daughter recently got married back in April, and his wife. I don't go to Texas very often. Like, I avoid that at all costs. I just don't go back. And because it's not home to me, so I don't like to go. Other than getting crawfish or something like that, I have no desire to go back. And we were, his daughter was getting married, and I was going to do the videography for it as for my niece. And so I'm there. No one's ever met me before. No one on the groom side has ever met me. And so I'm standing there, and I was standing next to my sister, his wife, I guess my sister-in-law, and the mother of the groom comes over, and she's talking to us, and we're just standing there, and she says to his wife, she goes, "So now, is this your oldest son?" And she goes, "This is my husband's twin brother." And the look on that woman's face was like, "Look at you."
Oh, you must have been loving that.
I love every second of it. Even when I was younger, and my ex-wife was 10 years old or 9 years older than me. Even when I was younger, I looked very young. And so when we would go shopping, like if we went shopping anytime during September or August, they would ask my ex-wife, they'd say, "Oh, are y'all school shopping today? There's a big discount over there." And she'd be like, "That's my husband." Yeah,
Oh,
I
wow.
will, I will ride this pony till the hoofs fall off.
And I was going to ask, because obviously he's straight and you're gay, and I was going to ask if there was any good twin stories growing up, but it sounds like you didn't come out until later on, so
I
we
can't.
might have missed those.
Yeah, there wasn't. I mean, the twin stories from our youth is just switching classes and the normal stuff like that. But again, we were so different that it wasn't really that hard to tell us apart. The moment we opened our mouths, you could tell us apart. I speak, even if I have a country accent, I speak differently than he does. He has,
Yeah.
while he's cut, like, even like in work, he speaks in the F word, like he's cussing and it gets very loud and yells. I get very direct and I'm very monotone when it comes to
Yeah.
work. So we're both very powerful or very dominant forces to deal with. But the difference is I'm very direct and quiet. And I think that sometimes intimidates people more than the screaming and the yelling. But for like, when I came out, oh, uh, the funny story, he told my dad, so I was 28, obviously he's 28, he was married, I was married. He told my dad, and my dad called me at home and he says, "Is it true what your brother told me?" And I'm not close to my dad, so as I tell this story, nobody send in letters or cards or anything like that. I don't need any help. But my dad said, "Is it true what your brother told?" And forgive me, because when I do talk like my dad or speak for my dad, I tend to talk like my dad. So he said,
Okay.
he goes, "Is it true what your brother told me?" And I said, "That I'm getting divorced?" "Yes." And he goes, "No, the reason why." And I said, "Because I'm gay?" "Yes." And "It'd be better for you to die than to kind of bring this kind of shame on our family." And I said, "You live in an RV behind your son's house. Is this really the biggest shame in your family you've got?"
Oh, wow.
So, but and we don't. I haven't spoken to him. My mom, when my mom was alive, she kind of squashed all of the drama. Then she passed away in a car accident, and then
Oh, I'm sorry.
she was a bad driver. It's okay. Um, that's another one of our jokes, is that my mom was very adamant that everyone not mourn her death. Like if something ever happened to her, she always said, "I'm ready to go when it's my time. I'm ready to go. Don't cry over me." And so I think that helped everyone, or at least it helped me. When she did die in a car accident, it made it easier knowing that she was where she wanted to be and she had already acknowledged that she was ready to go. So as tragic as it was, she was where she wanted to be.
Yeah.
She was skydiving. She was doing all sorts of wacky stuff when she was in her late 80s or early 80s.
Oh, wow.
She was, I think she was trying to check out. She was ziplining and skydiving. She was doing all sorts of weird stuff. So she lived a very good life. But she squashed a lot of the homophobia. My sister said I wasn't welcome in their home anymore, like all that kind of weird stuff. And
Wow.
and my mom put an end to all of that when she died, and that kind of calmed down. Then when she died, it kind of creeped all back in, where my dad didn't have much to do with any of us. And then my oldest daughter, is dating a black guy, and my dad said, I had a Christmas dinner, and he said, "I won't be in the same house with my granddaughter dating a black guy." And I said, "That's it, I'm done." And so we've never spoken again, and it's probably been 5 or 6 years that we've never
Wow.
spoken a word to each other, which, I'm
Deep.
fine with that. I'm fine with it.
Do you think the reason that you didn't come out, maybe when you were a lot younger, is because of his influence, or whatever influence around you that prevented it and didn't make you feel safe? Or
Yes, that part, yes. I think it was more of a, for me, it was more of, I did not feel like it was an option. That's the way I describe it to folks, is that I didn't feel like coming out was an option for me growing up. I grew up in a town called Cut and Shoot.
Okay.
You do the math. When we would go to school, we would see Klan meetings on the side of the road. I mean, we
Oh
were
my
in a
gosh.
wacky town. And it's literally, if your viewers want to look it up, type in cut and shoot Texas.
We're going to put that right there,
It will
just so
come
you
up. It's a
know.
real place. It's a real place. It's backwoods hillbillies, trailer parks, and you were rich if you got the wheels taken off the house. But but
Oh,
I didn't feel like it was an option, and so I did what I was supposed to do. I married the girl at church. I had kids, and I was ghastly thin. I was so sick and thin back in those days. I weigh about 145 now, and I'm
mhm.
relatively fit. Um, Back then, I was about 100 pounds, like 99 to 100 pounds. I was ghastly, ghastly thin, and
Wow.
and that was one of the things that people noticed the most when I came out, is that I gained weight. Like I became more healthy. I was healthier within
Yeah.
myself. I was healthy within my physical attributes. All of those things just changed, and I became a happier person and a meaner person. And
Yeah.
I became the catty gay,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it really wasn't my dad's influence that kept me from coming out, because we were never close to begin with. Um,
Yeah.
Shockingly, my mom, like, she was okay with it, but she blamed herself. But at the same time, I was kind of surprised she didn't know, because I said, I asked her one time when I first came out. I said, no one ever suspected? Nobody ever knew? Because I'm not the most butch person on the planet. Not that I'm not, don't get me wrong, I'm not, waving a flag and wearing heels, but I'm not the most butch guy on the planet either. I always think of myself as middle of the road. And she said other people had commented, but she never thought that it was accurate. Um, and she goes, but no, I never thought that you were gay. And I said, I used to dress up as Wonder Woman. You know, you put duct tape on my forehead and on my wrist. I mean, you did that, and it didn't strike me as that would be hard to figure out.
Bless.
Yeah, go figure. She had no idea. My ex-wife had no idea. She just thought I was classy. She one That was how she described it. She said, the way I was very gentle. I didn't like roughhouse with people or the kids or whatever. And so she just always kind of thought that I was just very gentle and kind. And then when I came out, we still have a very good relationship. We always made a point of the kids come first. So I say that to anyone that gets divorced. Like anytime I deal with people that get divorced, kids come first.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, the kids come first. You can suck it up for the day. You can be angry at each other all you want, but your kids always come first. And that's the way we built our lives. And that's why we have children that are established, and they're more like pro-gay nonsense than I am. Like, I've got those two ding dongs out there with the flags, painting the streets and all sorts of stuff. And I'm like, girl, calm down. Y'all straight.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
it all changed. I mean, when I came out, I became a much happier person, and life was better. And again, we kept the kids first, and the ex-wife and I maintained a decent relationship. I'm actually good friends with most of my exes, and even more so with their families. Her parents still call me on my birthday or for Christmas. My ex-husband, this ranch is actually run by the aunt and uncle. That they're the ones that run this nonprofit, and so fortunately, the people I've ever been involved with may not like me, but all of their families tend to like me more than them. So it all works out fine for me.
uh, let's talk about NASA. So you worked doing the videos for NASA.
So NASA was it was a company called NASA Soup. It's not NASA, the actual organization.
Oh, it's not the
NASA.
space company.
Yeah, it's NASA Soup is a part of an organization that it's a part of NASA, but what is it called? It's the company that does all the purchasing for NASA. So it's a part of it. It's solutions for enterprise-wide procurement. It's a procurement part of NASA. So when they hired me, they wanted to up their game with their video products and stuff like that. They didn't have that experience. So they brought me in for that. And I wasn't there for a long time. I was only there for about 6 months. They had brought me in and said they wanted to build a team. Like they wanted me to help build this team of videographers to elevate their brand. And unfortunately, when I got there, there was another person that was hired that was the manager of the group, and she and I didn't get along. And so, but that was because, I'm not going to talk bad about the company, but she did not have the experience level that I had. She didn't come from broadcast and she didn't come from communications. And so when we got together, we butted heads a lot because I had a actual understanding of what the communications department needed to be doing. And she was more of a micromanagement, fill out help desk tickets and things like that. That had nothing to do with anything. It was just more about micromanagement. And I'm not good with that type of environment.
Yeah.
So she got rid of me. We butted heads too many times, and I'm very direct. I don't mince words, so that makes people sometimes uncomfortable. And if I think they're wrong, I will say they're wrong. And I enjoyed being there. I can't speak highly enough of the people that I worked with while I was there. I did do the Pride video for NASA. That was a NASA project.
Cool.
Actually, I had done the Pride video for our group. And when NASA saw it, they asked for it to be sent and rebranded for them. So they took the work that I was doing for our division and used it over in the NASA side. And then I did a video about what the NASA suit group was all about. That was one of the tellies that I won. They won that got recognition for that. And some other stuff that I just did other things. And my goal when I was there was to bring a lot of camaraderie. My main focus was inside the communications department was to bring the entire company and the team together. So I was videoing anytime they brought in ice cream, anytime there was a fire alarm going off, anytime something would happen, I would make this video about it, and then it would be shown, and everyone just loved it. It was really something I was proud of. And so not being there was kind of disappointing because I enjoyed doing what I was doing and I really liked the people that I was working with. And sadly, one person derailed it for me. But I was doing something with DHS already. My jobs are so layered that I'm contract with all these different companies anyway. So it wasn't like I became destitute or anything. But it was creative work that I enjoyed doing, and it was extremely appreciated. And so it was disappointing to not get to keep doing that. And I'm still in touch with them. With a lot of the people that work there, we still chat. We still go to lunch. We still talk. I still hear stories. Nothing has changed.
Is she still there?
Yeah, nothing has changed.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. You see, one day she might go and it'll all change background. You don't know.
That would be amazing if that ever happened. I would be lying if I said that would not make me giggle. My thing is, and I mean this in the nicest possible way. My thing was like, if I never have to see the plastic shoes ever again, I'll be fine.
It is possible.
It was always these clear plastic shoes like Cinderella would wear. And I was like, girl, even she had crystal. Come on now.
Sass there, I can hear it. Now, we are running out of time. What have you got coming up in the future, David? What do you want to tell us about that you're looking forward to or that we can look forward to ourselves?
Any of the stuff, I mean, I'm sure you'll have links to my portfolio that's on your site, happydogranch.org. that organization is absolutely amazing. They do incredible work. The work I will continue doing work for them. I will probably be moving back to DC by the end of the month if things play out the way that they're going. And I will be back in television land doing the stuff that I used to do. So that's, I mean, the very bright horizon. I'll be doing both. I'll be doing, I'll be handling the ranch stuff and I'll be doing this stuff, but I can do a lot of it remotely. So I'll be doing that.
Where would you like your details, David? All of the stuff you've listed for the ranch and anything else. Where do you want it put? Up, down, left, right?
Wherever it's seen.
I'll put it right here. It'll be seen right there on the screen.
Yeah.
Like magic.
Yeah, it's like I said, I can't speak on it. I mean, my portfolio is just that, but the ranch, those folks do amazing things, and the stories that are involved in that, if people want to actually watch them, they can go to that website and see them, where there's a cow that was born where the leg was, the hoof was broken off of it, and they had to rebuild the hoof with special tools and stuff. But very fascinating stories, and could always use donations. So I'm not that I'm hawking them or anything, but they could always use donations. And I can't speak highly enough about them. They're amazing people, amazing group of people. And yeah, just follow my website. You'll see where I'm at. I'll be somewhere soon enough.
David, thank you so much for your time today. It's an absolute pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you.
We're going to be
having me
after these messages. What's that, Tom? Are we sponsored by anyone? No, Tom, you know clearly we're not sponsored by anyone at all. Apple. Apple doesn't sponsor this show. Not yet. I just simply love the way that all of their devices integrate with each other seamlessly. And, it just works. But no, they're definitely not a sponsor of the show. Yet. Oh, look at that, Tom. Look at that. Just working. Just working. What's that? Oh, I can see it on my phone at the same. This is amazing. FaceTime. Friggin' brilliant, that is.